Welcome to a story you might wish you'd never heard. Forget knights in shining armor. Forget castles, tournaments, and royal banquets. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the other side. The side history textbooks ignore. This is your life not as a noble, not as a king, but as a peasant. A medieval one. Not a modern farmer, with tractors and choices. You're a serf. Bound to land you don't own, working fields you'll never inherit, ruled by lords who don't know your name. No freedom. No rights, no escape. And today, you wake up just like every other day, with the taste of dirt in your mouth and a rat chewing at your toes. Your bed is a pile of damp straw. Your home, wattle and daub, barely standing. The roof leaks, the walls crumble, and the wind cuts through the cracks like a knife. There's no fire, no warmth, just the stench of manure and old sweat. You open your eyes, and already you're late. The church bell tolls. Not for prayer, for labor. For you. You grab your hoe wooden, cracked, splintered. Your stomach growls, but there's no breakfast. No bread, no porridge, no hope. Your wife is gone. To the fields, your children too, your last to rise. And still, there's nothing left to eat. You step outside. Fog clings low to the ground and the path is mud. Your boots are full of holes. They squelch as you walk. Your back aches, your knees throb, your hands blistered just at the thought of gripping that hoe again. But the Lord's men don't care. They'll take your grain whether you harvest it or not. You pass neighbors, silent as ghosts. No one talks. Talking wastes breath, and breath is fuel. You need all you've got to survive the day. There's no water but what you scoop from a puddle. It tastes like iron and moss. Still you drink. You don't have a choice. Choices are for people who matter. And you don't. You reach the fields. Rows of sodden earth stretch to the horizon, waiting. No machines, no oxen, just your back and the mercy of the soil. You plant weed, reap sometimes all in the same day. It depends on the season. It depends on what the Lord wants. But never depends on you. Your hands sink into the mud. It sucks at your fingers, cold and slow, as if the land wants to keep you. You pull weeds that have more strength than your spine. Stones bite at your knees. Rain falls, but you don't stop. If you stop, someone else gets whipped. Or you do. Or your child. There's a steward watching, a man who owns nothing but wears fine boots. He doesn't farm, but he decides who gets punished for lazy work. His eyes are like knives cutting through excuses. You don't meet his gaze. You just bow your head like everyone else, 'cause one wrong glance can mean pain. By noon, your fingers are raw and bleeding. Your stomach is a pit of acid and silence. There's no lunch. Maybe a crust if you're lucky chewed, dry in a corner while rats try to steal it. You sit on a stone and dream of food, not feasts, just warmth, cheese, a boiled root. Even a stale egg would be luxury. A scream breaks the stillness. One of the boys, barely 12, has sliced his foot open on a rusted plow blade. No one stops. Not really. A few glances, a mutter, then back to work. He's dragged to the side and left there. If he gets infected, he dies. No one says it. Everyone knows it. You work through the afternoon as your shoulders twist and burn. The sun, weak as it is, still scorches your neck. Flies buzz in your ears. Dirt cakes your teeth. You've lost count of time. You swing and dig, swing and dig, swing and dig. And with every motion, you feel less like a man and more like a tool. The bell tolls again. Evening, you're allowed to stop. Not because you're finished, no one ever is, but because darkness is coming. You trudge home with your hoe dragging behind you like a broken limb. Your knees wobble, your back is wet with sweat. But your head stays down, always down. Back home, your wife is already cooking something over a fire no larger than your hand. Turnip stew. If it can be called stew. Water, salt, one bruised turnip, and maybe a scrap of bone for flavor. It smells like survival. You eat in silence, watching the shadows on the wall flicker like ghosts. Night falls fast. There's no time for rest, only stillness. You huddle together, wife, children, grandfather, in the one corner that isn't soaked. You try to sleep. You try not to shiver. You try not to dream of freedom. Because dreams are dangerous. They make the cage feel tighter when morning comes. And it always comes. A sharp knock at the door wakes you. Not a friendly knock, not the kind that waits. It's the steward again, or one of his men. You don't ask why, you don't speak, you rise. The others stay still, holding their breath like mice when the hawk circles. You slip on your damp boots and step outside into the dark. The man points. No words. Just a finger, aimed toward the mill. Bag of grain needs turning. Not your grain, not your bread. The Lord's you nod because that's the only word you're allowed. Nodding costs nothing. Speaking might cost your teeth. The path to the mill is mud. It's always mud. Cold bites your feet through the cracks in your boots. You stumble once, twice, and each time you pray, the miller isn't watching. He's not cruel, but he's not kind. He believes in the system. He believes in keeping people in their place. And your place is low. You shoulder the sack, though your muscles scream. It's heavier than your youngest child. The rope cuts into your skin, reopening a wound you forgot was there. Blood joins sweat, but no one cares. The Lord gets his flour either way. You walk like a ghost carrying penance. You don't remember when you last stood tall? The wheel turns. The stone grinds. You feed the grain slowly, mechanically, as your mind drifts. You wonder what the castle looks like inside. You've seen its spires in the distance. You've heard stories of halls lit by candlelight and tapestries thick enough to stop the wind. You've never seen such a thing. You likely never will. By the time the job's done, dawn is graying the sky. You head back with an empty sack and a heart just as hollow. Your body aches in layers, some old, some new. At the door, your child opens it. Oh, you're She's still too young to hide her worry. She asks if you're okay. You nod again, always nodding. That's what fathers do here. Breakfast is whatever's left from last night, stretched thin. The fire's almost out. Your wife is already at the loom, spinning what little wool you earned 2 winters ago. Your son is off chopping wood before the steward can assign him worse. Life is a race to survive the punishments you don't deserve. Then comes the taxman. He arrives on a horse that's fed better than any child in the village. He smells of lavender oil and wet leather. He doesn't smile, but he doesn't need to. He carries a ledger, a pouch, and a knife. Not for you, for your pride. He's not here to take your life. He's here to measure it, weigh it, and find it lacking. You owe more than you can give. Everyone does. It's by design. You offer what little coin you have, a sack of potatoes and 2 hens. He doesn't blink. He just writes. Next week, he says, and turns his horse back toward the horizon, kicking up mud that splashes your chest. He doesn't look back. You don't speak for the rest of the morning. This time the steward brings 2 men with swords, and the Lord's seal burned into their leather. They don't smile. They don't speak at first. Just point at your son, the older one, barely 12. Strong back, strong legs. They say the war in the north needs bodies. Your village owes blood now, not just grain. Your wife falls to her knees. Your son doesn't. He stares straight ahead, jaw trembling but locked. He knows this is coming. Every boy does. The Lord calls it service. You call it theft. But words don't matter. Swords do. You argue, then beg, then nearly swing your axe, and then you remember your daughter watching. They leave with your boy. No. You are allowed to keep your tools, your land, your breath. For now, but you've lost something you cannot till or build or feed. That night, your wife does not speak. Not when you hold her, not when she cries. You understand? Grief has its own language, and this village, this world, speaks it fluently. The next morning you work anyway, because you must, because the barley doesn't care about sorrow, because there are mouths left to feed, and because the only choice worse than working is not. Shall I continue the rhythm? We're about 1/3 through the journey. Things are about to turn darker and stranger. You dig beside the river that week, helping shape a new mill the Lord has ordered. Not for you, for him, for profit. The steward tells you the stones must be carried faster. One man collapses. Another breaks his arm. No one stops. Hunger is louder than pain, and the lash is always watching. By the 5th day, your hands are bleeding through their wrappings. Your back screams with every breath. A mason curses and throws a tool. He's dragged away. You never see him again. You don't ask. Questions are dangerous. So you keep lifting, keep sweating, keep swallowing the blood when your lip splits on the handle. That night, a boy drowns in the river. No one knows whose child he was. Or maybe they do, but silence is safer. His mother wails into the darkness. No priest comes. No grave is dug. The Lord's men say the work cannot stop. So you'll rise the next day, same as before. The river does not remember the boy, but you do. Every time the water touches your boots, by the end of the month, the mill stands. The Lord arrives, surrounded by laughter and gold-trimmed sleeves. He nods once at your labor. That is all a nod. Then he mounts his horse and rides off, never looking back. You watch his boots still dry as they disappear beyond the tree line. Then you go back to stacking stones, because what else can you do? Would you like me to continue? We were still only beginning to understand what it truly meant to survive one day, let alone a lifetime, as a medieval peasant. That night, your dreams are filled with stone and water and the boy's open eyes. You wake gasping, unsure if it's sweat or river on your skin. Outside, a fox screams. You listen to it echo through the trees and think for one moment that it sounds like the mother, still crying. You don't eat the next morning. Not because there is no food there is, but because your stomach has begun to knot at the smell of the gruel. It's sour again. Mold in the sacks. The steward says it's still fit for peasant mouths. You chew it anyway. Slowly, carefully. Mold, after all, won't kill you as fast as hunger. The priest arrives a week later. He says God has blessed the harvest. Says the mill is a sign of divine favor. No one speaks. Doesn't notice. Or pretends not to that two children have scurvy, or that the baker's hands are cracked open from the cold. He blesses the Lord's name, then rides off. You wonder if his horse ever slips. Your sister coughs that night, twice, then again. You lie awake listening, counting the seconds between 3, 4, 7. Silence, then a rattle. She turns in her sleep. You don't wake her. Simply lie there, terrified of the space between breaths. And pray that when morning comes, she's still warm, still breathing, still with you. The first snow falls quietly. It dusts the thatch like sugar, coats the fields in silence. No one cheers. Snow means beauty, yes, but it also means no roots, no foraging, no wild herbs to chew. It means frostbite in your sleep. It means fires must be fed through the night. There is never enough wood. You're sent to gather kindling. It's not far, just the woods past the burial hill, but you dread it anyway. The trees are black in the white, tall as cathedrals, silent as tombs. You step where others have stepped. Stay in the prints. Avoid where the snow lies undisturbed. You've heard the stories. Wolves leave no trail. You find a fallen limb crusted in ice. You bend to pick it up and hear a crunch behind you. You freeze. Not snow, not bird, something heavier. You don't turn. You don't breathe. You listen. Seconds pass. Then nothing. Just wind. You straighten slowly, clutching the limb like a weapon, and back away without running. When you return, no one speaks of your silence. But your mother looks at you longer than usual. Your sister coughs again. The priest doesn't return. And when the steward rides through the village collecting tithes, your neighbor spits at his horse. The steward laughs, then takes the spit-stained boy to the manor for correction. He doesn't come back. That night, the silence is worse than ever. Not empty, just crowded with things you can't see. The wind knocks, but it feels like fingers. The rafters creak, but it sounds like footsteps. Your mother lights 3 candles instead of 1. Your father sharpens the axe he hasn't used since the wolves came. You don't sleep. Instead, you watch the fire die slow. You think of your sister's doll. You imagine it staring up through the dirt, unblinking. You wonder if she's cold. Then you feel stupid, then guilty, and cold yourself. Dawn doesn't come fast enough. And when it does, it brings fog. Thick. Yellow. Wrong. No birds. No sound. You step outside, boots soft in the mud, and the village looks altered. Same fences, same carts, same crooked roofs, but not. As if someone rebuilt it from memory, not blueprints. You rub your eyes. It stays. And then you see the boy, just standing, pale, alone, but not your son. Not anymore. You blink. He's still there. Hair matted, eyes hollow. No. His mouth opens. but the sound's wrong like wind through a cracked bone flute. Your feet refuse to move. His fingers twitch. He takes a step. You step back. He takes another. You run. He doesn't follow. He doesn't need to. He's already inside. Back home, you bar the door. Your mother doesn't ask what happened. She's pouring salt around the hearth. Your father stands with his axe, waiting for something that won't knock. You breathe shallow. You pray, not to God but to anything listening. You don't care if it's holy. You just want it to be louder than the silence pressing in. That night, the fog slips through cracks. Not smoke, not mist. It has weight like breath on your neck. The candle sputters. You close your eyes and count backwards from 20. You get to 12 before the window rattles. A handprint. Too small to be your father's, too large to be a child's. Fingers wrong, thumb too far down. It fades. Slowly you don't sleep again. In the morning your cow is dead. Not eaten, not even touched, just open. Chest cavity like a book someone started to read and gave up halfway. No footprints. No blood. Just the body, steaming in the cold. Your father swears, your mother vomits. You kneel, and for some reason, apologize. The trees creak like laughter. That day, no one speaks. But the blacksmith's wife is gone. So is the priest. And the boy from yesterday is back. This time behind the baker's shed, just standing, watching. You tell the elders, and they pretend not to hear. One says, "Don't say his name." You hadn't? You didn't know he had one? You ask anyway? She walks away crying. You go to the well. The water's black. No ripples, no smell. Just black like ink, like night, like forgetting. You drop a stone. It doesn't splash. You lean over, closer, closer. You hear a voice, not a word. Just a shape, like a thought you forgot. You pull back, too late. Your fingertips are damp. You didn't touch the water. You go home shaking. That night your dreams return, but they're not yours. They're older. Grained like old film, edges soft, color wrong. In one, you kneel naked in snow while robed figures chant around you. In another, your teeth fall into your hands, and each one whispers a different language. When you wake, you remember none of it, except the weight in your lungs. The fog's inside again. It clings. The walls sweat. The windows bow inward. Can't tell if it's night or just blindness. Your father hasn't blinked in hours. Your mother sings in a language you've never heard. You eat raw oats and call it dinner? Outside, the boy is closer, smiling now. His smile is wider than it should be. You try to leave. You pack bread, knife, thread. You leave at dawn. Tell no one. The path curves wrong. The trees lean. The sky folds in like a closing book. You walk for 6 hours, always north. You arrive back home at sunset, your mother says. Told you not to try. She pours salt in your boots. You cry, you're not sure why. The next day the sun doesn't rise, not behind clouds, just doesn't rise. Roosters scream, not crow. Scream. You walk outside and your shadow runs the opposite way. You check the calendar. It's just lines, just lines. You stare until they move. You close the book. Burn it. Ash won't scatter. Clumps wet and warm like meat. You stop talking. Everyone does. You speak, but it echoes first. Then answers back, slightly wrong. Your voice without you. Your father tries Latin. It works for a while. Then the words melt. Letters crawl off the page and into the floorboards. You don't write again, not even your name, especially not your name. The boy is on your roof now, sitting, legs too long, head tilted. He watches you through the chimney. When you close your eyes, you see his. When you open them, you still do. You scream, he laughs, then stops. Too suddenly, like something told him to. That scares you more. He was playing, now he's waiting. You ask your mother, what is he? She says, not what. When you ask again. She bleeds from the nose and doesn't stop. You wipe her face with the rag she used on you as a baby. She smiles, then dies. Not from bleeding, just stops, like someone whispered. Now, and she obeyed. We're under the floor. You don't mark it. The house already knows. Your father's gone next. Not dead, just gone. His axe still warm, his boots still tied, the window open but no footprints. You find a feather on his pillow. Long, black, you burn it. It doesn't burn, it screams. You bury it with your mother. The dirt moves long after you've left. The next morning, the sun rises, but it's wrong. It's too large, too red, it hums. You feel it in your teeth. The chickens peck themselves to death. The trees lean away. The boy is gone. But now the village has 20 like him, all staring, all waiting. You go inside, you light a fire. You sit with your back to the wall. You wait too. You wonder when it ends, not if. When. And you realize that's what your mother meant. Not what is happening, but when. This is a time, not a place, a loop, a season, punishment carved into the year, like winter or famine. It comes, it stays, it leaves, but it remembers. And it doesn't come for just anyone. It comes for those who watch, who doubt, who ask why and forget how to kneel, who laugh at old things, who turn from the past and think it won't follow. You were warned. In lullabies, in prayers, in the way the wind changed before harvest, you just didn't listen, and now it listens to you. Closer, every breath, every heartbeat. You are not alone anymore. You are never alone again. You don't run, you can't, you stare. The boy, if it's still a boy, tilts his head as if remembering you. The eyes are milky, lips cracked open in a smile too wide for his face. His shirt is torn, his feet bare. But it's not the mud that stains him, it's something blacker, older, moving slightly as if breathing on its own. He takes one step forward. You take one back. Something shifts under your boot. A small crunch bone, a doll's head. You don't check. The fog thickens behind you, wrapping your shoulders like a noose. There's no escape, not really. Just choices about when. The boy lifts one hand, not to greet, not to beg, to beckon. You shake your head. He doesn't stop. You whisper your son's name. Once, twice. By the third time, you're not sure who you're calling. And then he vanishes. Not walks away, not turns, just unmade, as if he was never there at all. The fog sighs. The village returns to silence. You blink and realize you're standing in the center of the square, alone. The sky is clearing, the birds are back. But everything feels wrong. Like waking from a nightmare and realizing the real dream is your life. You walk home. Your wife is stirring the pot like nothing's happened. She hums. She says your name with the same warmth she's always had. But you look in her eyes and it's like staring into a reflection with no soul behind it. You sit at the table. She serves stew. You eat it and it tastes like ash. The years pass. You tend the fields. You raise the animals. You watch the seasons change, like tired actors cycling through the same play. The boy never comes back. But you think about him every night, especially when the wind howls. You grow old. The pain in your back becomes constant. Your hands become leather. You forget the names of things that once mattered. The world narrows 2 rows of wheat and aching knees. Sometimes you think maybe this is what hell is, not fire and screams. It's just routine forever. One day a man from the city arrives. He wears strange clothes and speaks with strange words. He says he's writing a book. He asks what it was like life here 1,000 years ago. You laugh, not because it's funny, but because it's the first time someone's asked. You tell him the truth, or at least the version that doesn't get you locked up. He writes it all down. He thanks you. He leaves. That night, you dream for the first time in years. You're in that room again, the white one, the modern one, the one with cameras and doctors behind glass. And someone, maybe you, asks, "So what did we learn?" A voice answers. Even with free food, fresh air, no torture, they broke. Every time, no one lasted more than 24 hours. You wake up screaming, but the fire is dead, the bed is straw, the fog is crawling under the door again. You only lived one day in the Middle Ages. But the Middle Ages? They never left you.